Good evening and salutations, my Days of Alive fans. I don't know what the hell is actually going on with Mark Green because there's a point where Leo and Mark are talking, and he asks, "Oh, something about I realized that you're straight and stuff like that." And Mark is like, "Did I say that?" And I'm just like, "What are we doing? Right? What are we doing? Why would you sit there and even backtrack you saying that?" And then in the next following scene, after he's on the phone with somebody, delivering, saying that he had to sit there and deliver bad news, he talks to Leo again, and he's like, "Yeah, I was on the phone with my girlfriend." Now, maybe this is one of those cases where he just didn't come out yet, which is totally fine. But I'm just kind of like, what are we doing? Um, so Chanel is starting to have some pain. And they're like, let's go to the hospital. Let's go there now. She's like, no, 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 no. Everything's gonna be alright. It's starting to subside. Right then, they was like, no, no, no. We need to go. We need to go now. They sit on the couch for a little bit and talk about eating pickles and oysters or whatever. Um, just to kind of, I don't know, I guess calm her stomach or whatever. But then she has this another sharp pain and she yells in agony. And they're like, all right, we gotta go. We gotta go now. So they go, and Mark brings him into the exam room, and Paulina's there. And Mark is like, listen, I need to sit there and check her out. And Paulina's like, I need to check her out. Like, you got to sit there and kind of leave. And she's all like, no, I can't leave or whatever. And Chanel's like, well, Johnny's like, no, I'm going to be here. So you don't need to be here right now. And Chanel's like, no, I'm going to be fine. So Paulina leaves. And long story short, they say she had a miscarriage. And part of me was like, well, goddamn, I didn't think that was going to wind up happening. I know that the actor is going to be leaving for a little bit on maternity leave because, he's welcoming his son and everything. But I didn't think they were going to sit there and leave on such a sour note. I just didn't see that coming. Um, so at some point, Paulina comes back in and she's like, what's going on? What's wrong? And Johnny's like, we lost a baby. Chanel lashes out at her, saying this is all your fault. Right? So we're gonna probably get a little bit more of that tomorrow, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm not exactly looking forward to it. The sad thing is that, damn, I mean, this stuff does happen, so it is important to sit there and show stories like this. But part of me is like I wanted some exciting stuff, but I'm also just like, that's the best you could sit there and do is get them such a sour note of a story. Now, I look at this situation with now lashing out, being angry, in pain, grieving. You often wind up saying stuff that you later regret, right? Now, I've always saw two sides of this. One, yes, her actions, regardless on her intentions, her actions led to this, right? Like, regardless if she didn't mean to do it or not, this was not her intentions and everything like that. We can all sit there and look at this and be like, um, if it wasn't for Paulina, there's a high possibility that she would have been dead. But that being said, she did get radiation poisoning because of Paulina. So the death of that child is, on her. That is just the fact. Emotions are not. That is just the facts. But then I also sometimes look at it this way. Chanel could have been dead. Okay, hypothermia is a real thing, and you can fall victim to them a lot faster than you think. And I've seen a lot of comments that saying, "Well, Johnny would have eventually found her." Yeah, Johnny could have also found a corpse. Okay, Johnny could have found a corpse, and then this whole her lashing out wouldn't even have actually mattered because she would have been dead. So if Paulina didn't find her, she could have been dead. That is just a fact. That is how hypothermia works. Every minute, every second counts. So all this whole, well, he could have found her. He could have, could have, but he didn't. Coulda and doing is two different things. So there's that. Now, Leo eventually talks to Marlena, talks about how things didn't go the way that he planned on them going, with his mother. And talking about how she made him feel small, she made him feel awful, and this, that, and the third. And Marlena, you know, tries to coach him through it, tries to reassure him. And she didn't even sit there and say, like, because he was like, oh, well, this was your idea. He was like, no, this was an idea that we would actually have more time. We should have took more time to sit there and develop before we were even ready to confront her. But then they talk about Mark Green, and Marlene is just like, listen, just don't try to read too much into the situation. Don't get yourself hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, bottom line, we're trying to build you up. We don't need you falling back because you got hurt. Open up your heart before you're even ready to fully heal yourself. So, Teresa is acting like a goddamn Karen. Why ain't you complaining about Holly? Oh, Holly's this, Holly's that, Holly's bad, blah, 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 blah. Honestly, tell you the truth, I just don't give a shit. And Bonnie's there, and they're talking for a little bit. Alex comes out, talks about the ring, them getting, engaged and everything like that. And at some point, I think Teresa leaves to go and do something. And Bonnie decides to start inserting herself a bit more, talking about, did you talk to your dad? Your dad's just very protective of you. He's very worried of you. You know, usually when a woman's you're trying to manipulate a man, like her using Brady to do to make you jealous, they're a manipulator. That's not somebody that you can just generally trust. And then she comes out of pocket and says, you can do better, right? Now, I just sat there and did a review on General Hospital and was like, why couldn't they give Trina more lines, more of a voice with her concerns towards telling Ava, her friend, that you shouldn't be sitting there trying to go to war. This is bad for you. This is bad for your daughter. You shouldn't do this. Right? Now, yeah, it would have came across as a busybody like Bonnie, but Bonnie actually says something because she was genuinely concerned. She had stuff inside her head and she got it out. Now, we can sit there and look at that and be like, oh, that really wasn't your place. You definitely overstepped. But I'd rather sit there and take somebody that oversteps and I'm just going to keep quiet even though I don't feel right about the situation and I should say something. So Teresa is like, I'm sorry, what? So you're just gonna sit there and just trash talk me? Bonnie was like, well, I wouldn't have sat there and say anything behind your back that I wouldn't say it to your face. I was like, yeah, but you felt like that about her and you didn't sit there and say that to her face. So that line doesn't work. Alex defends her. And then at some point, Alex leaves to go to work and Bonnie eventually is talking to Sarah. While Teresa is just sitting there stewing. Now, if somebody just sat there and practically told, my fiance that my fiance could do better than being with me, not gonna sit in the same goddamn room. It's supposed to be a mansion. I'm going to go any other place other than being next to them. Because, that's just madness right there. Um, Now, Sarah and Xander are talking about Victor, and Sarah is like the annoying optimist in the situation, talking about, well, Victor really did love you, and yada 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 yada. And I'm like, yeah, but his love, from what I understand, came across as a bit toxic, and just overall him being kind of a dick, using him for dirty work, stuff that he wouldn't want to get his hands dirty. Then they switch over into um, Xander's mom. Because Sarah has just been uber annoying about it and just acting like Xander's feelings does clearly not matter in the situation because Victoria needs to know her other grandmother. This is where we are, people. This is where we are. Um, Now, he does sit there and say, I have an address. My aunt was hit up for money by my mom. That's a bad quality, by the way, just to let you know. He says it in such disdain, and she just seems completely unfazed by it. Like, maybe when she'll get to the wedding, she'll sit there and hit you up for money. But I guess time will tell her, right? So she goes to Bonnie, and there's one point also. There's also one point where Bonnie's talking about Xander's mom coming to the wedding, and Teresa gets jumpy. She's like, "Oh, I don't know if that's such a good idea." And they're both just like, well, "Why you don't think that's such a good idea?" And she brings up the whole Constantine thing. She's like, "Do we need somebody else coming in here acting like a fool, maybe being disrespectful or whatever to Sarah and the family and everything?" Which is a full possibility, given how Xander has been snipped there saying that she's not a good person, and Sarah has just been just completely stupid and just more like people can change and you can change and yada 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 yada. And also, I don't care about your feelings. This is what I want, and this is what I think we should do. I'm gonna sit there and say I respect your feelings, even though I'm just gonna sit there and step over them because it's what I want. So when Sarah comes back and she says we can add Dana's mom to the address, she gets all shook. Now there's this scene with Marlena and Brady. And Brady's sitting there talking about the Tate situation and being all like, oh, well, I told him that he can't sit there and hang out with Holly because we said so. And it's bad because it's just really stupid at this point. It really is. We don't want you hanging out with Holly. Why? He forgave her. They're teenagers. Relax. I don't generally give teenager a pass. There was one person in my other video, I'll just sit there and say, somebody was like, oh, well, she's 12, she's a child. I don't give a damn if she's a child. She still did it. But I'm like, in this situation, I'm just like, he forgave her. They haven't done anything since. And you really need to sit there and relax. He's all like, oh, we're in the same mind frame as that. I was like, you're really not. And that's something else because you can sit there and clearly see that Teresa is going overboard with a lot of the stuff that she's doing. So for even him to sit there and say, oh, we're on the same mind and page, now yeah, I can look at your face and I can tell you that you are not. He looks at her a lot more when she goes overboard with either the way she talks to Holly or how she talks about the situation. But then Marlena's like, this is about Teresa. He's all like, no, it's fine. I don't want to talk about it, because he's all into Teresa now because, I don't know, reasons or whatever. So he goes to work, and Alex breaks news that he is engaged to Teresa, and he just looks all sad and bummed out. And I'm just like, I can't believe we're actually sitting there being all bummed out over Teresa, but sure, why not? You know, I think they're kind of both bad options, but Kristen seems a lot more fun. So I'm gonna sit there and go with Kristen. I mean, I would go with Kristen anyway because I mean she's Kristen, but he just does not seem like he has good luck when it comes to his women. He has some really terrible luck when it comes to his women. Um, anyway, I feel like that's pretty much about it. Anyway, I feel like that's probably a lot more, but that's the gist of the episode. So I'm gonna sit there in the video here. If I miss anything, either write it down in the comment section below or come to the live stream tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We'll sit there and talk about all the shows: General Hospital, Days of Our Lives, Born and Beautiful, and Young and the Restless. And with that being said, I'm gonna go. I'll see you in the next video.